Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Wow, welcome. I'm doing this 59th podcast here from New York City. I'm sitting in Brooklyn. Came up to see number 5 son, little Dean, and doing my podcast up here, and it's just beautiful out, overlooking the city. I had some great comments last week. It's funny, I was up on Facebook and they didn't pull it down, but they wouldn't let me post it, promote it with my "you can't make this shit up," because they said I use that word. But the funny thing is, in the future I'll use a little asterisk. But at any rate, the great comments out of that, I got some emails and some different feedback. And one of the feedbacks I got was, I constantly use this term, which I've used for years and years and years. I share with people, I go, hey, you just go in and kind of yuck it up with them. And in that podcast, I talked about meeting the guard and meeting the guy on the elevator and how we just yucked it up, and how yucking it up led to these relationships. So I've gotten these questions. I got a number of different emails. Again, thank you for all the emails and that y'all send, and all the questions. And I love helping everybody. But I got some that said, Dean, could you explain what yuck it up means? And so today I want to talk about what yuck it up means. Yuck it up is really about building relationships in the course of 15, 20, 30 seconds. And when you think about it, you only have, how many times, as somebody asked me this years ago, said, how many times do you have, Dean, to make a first impression? Well, the answer is once. So in this case, when you're yucking it up, it's your first impression. And for years, and I'm probably more outgoing than some, but I found going up and engaging people creates a kind of a bond. And so yucking it up for me is about engagement. And engagement starts out with, when I meet people, I go up and I say, hi, I'm Dean Akers, and I extend my hand to shake their hands. I'm going to say in 40 years, 99.999% of the time, those people have extended their hands back out and shook my hand, and I've said my name, hi, I'm Dean Akers, and I've asked their name, and then I go into a smile and I ask them some question like, what brings you here, or how long have you been with this company, or what are you doing? In fact, to segue back to how yucking it up works, I went last night with my son and his significant other to Phantom of the Opera, and we got tickets at the last minute, like 5th, 6th row back. We're sitting there, and this 2 couples walk in, and when they walk in, they sit down in front of us, and said something or whatever. You excuse us, we're just sitting down. And I said, well, hi, I'm Dean Akers. And I joked with him a little bit, and as I quote say, yucked it up. Well, it turns out these 4 people that are sitting in front of us, the 2 guys graduated from my high school in Lakeland, Florida, one 3 years and one 5 years before I was there. And we started talking out, and then it found out that the guy's son was the lead in the Broadway show we were seeing, which was Phantom of the Opera. And he started telling us all about that. So it turned into a great dialogue. It was fun. I gave him my card. We're going to catch up when we get back. It wasn't about business. It wasn't about, you want to buy something from me. It was just yucking it up, building relationships, and finding out about other people. And one of the cool things is you have to be sincere with it. And I know you're sincere when you're out there, but when you're in sales or in your leadership, being sincere is asking those questions and then shutting up and listening. And last night was a perfect example. This individual, excuse me, I'm sitting here podcasting, it's windy up here. But at any rate, last night, the particular individual opened up. We talked and found out his military background, just all kinds of cool stuff. And the one gentleman, the older gentleman that was in his mid-70s, he was a United States Marine Corps in Vietnam. And, of course, I reached out to thank him for his service, as I knew any of you would. So, at the end of the day, It's really about building these relationships. So when the term yuck it up really boils down to building relationships, asking questions, getting to know people, and shutting up and listening, and just watching that evolution of relationship build. So this was a quick one from New York City. It's chilly up here. I'm on top of a building of my son's apartment in Brooklyn. So I'm going to let y'all have it, and I'll talk to you next week, and have a great day.
Hope you enjoyed this week's show. Subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help@deanacres.com. Also, visit us at www.deanacres.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download. Thanks again. See you next week.